One stock is negative that we've been focused on for the last 30 minutes or so is Twitter. Is down by 3.8%. Taking a look at that, here's Abby.
John, well, Twitter is down about 4% at this point, and that is well off the lows. Now, ahead of the explosive headlines that came out right around 8:55 this morning, the stock had actually been higher in the pre-market session, then all of a sudden took a sharp leg lower, down about 8%. This, of course, on these headlines with Elon Musk saying that he believes Twitter is breaching their merger agreement by not providing information about spam and fake accounts. I know that Ed will be speaking about that more, but it seems as though cooler heads are prevailing. We've had so many headlines back and forth since the April 14th bid. Overall, Twitter is down about 15%, a little bit less than 15% from that time period. But because the stock is off the lows, and to Kayleigh's point earlier, never really made that $54.20 bid anyway, it seems as though there's so much uncertainty that investors are waiting for more information. Again, Twitter off the lows, but down about 4% on these headlines.
Abby, thank you. Our good friend Ed Ludlow was asleep, so we woke him up. He's on the phone now. Ed, good morning to you.
Good morning, John. Yeah, I mean, pouring through these headlines on the Bloomberg, we know about Musk's grievance with bots, the level of bots on the platform. But as you read each headline, really what's at issue here is the mechanics of a deal that one side of the table believes is signed and pending shareholder approval and regulatory checks, and another that seems to think it's more fluid. You know, Musk is claiming that his rights as a potential owner of Twitter have been breached, and that because he's a potential owner, he is entitled to access data that would have him better understand the level of bots on the platform. He restates his right to terminate. Remember, there's a reverse termination fee here where if either party walks away, they pay the other side $1 billion. But it's the language as well. Twitter is actively, quote, thwarting information rights by not sharing more on their methodology to calculate the percentage of bots on the platform.
Ed, what are we arguing over here? Access to data or a man that doesn't want to pay the breakup fee?
It's fascinating because go back to April 25th, read we don't have to, John, I mean, you've got better things to do, but read the regulatory filings word for word. He waived due diligence back in April. And so the idea that he didn't understand how the bot mathematics works, the percentage of bots, is really bizarre, because that, A, has been boilerplate language Twitter has used in regulatory filings for many, many years. But B, right early in this process, he said, I don't want to do the due diligence. This gets to the point of your question. Is he trying to walk away, or is he trying to come back in with a lower fee? At the time, the consensus was he waived due diligence so that Twitter would accept $54.20 as his final offer. Because at that time, hard to see it now, but people thought maybe Twitter was a little bit undervalued.
Ed, let's talk about the final point, and that's things from Twitter's perspective. This is becoming highly disruptive for this company. You've done some reporting on this. It's really off the rails at the moment internally. What do they think of this? Yeah,
so I think internally, a lot of the work that was being done is being put on hold. They're shuffling resources. There's a hiring freeze. That's partly because of the macro environment. On the deal perspective, remember, it's only been a week or 2 weeks that Twitter's most senior lawyer stood up at an all-hands meeting and said, by law, by definition, there is no such thing as a deal that's, quote, temporarily on hold. Of course, that's something that Elon Musk tweeted. So I think from Twitter's perspective, this is agreed, and it's pending shareholder approval. And, they've just gone through their regulatory notice period of 30 days. That was lifted on Thursday last week. They're pulling in different directions.